Please take a moment to read the following. How was that? Frustrating? Slow? What were those sentences about? They're actually a simulation of the experience of dyslexia, designed to make you decode each word. Those with dyslexia experience that pace every time they read. When most people think of dyslexia, they think of seeing letters and words backwards, like seeing B as D and vice versa. They see saw as was. The truth is people with dyslexia seeing things the same way as everyone else, meaning people affected by it have trouble not seeing the language, but manipulating it. For example, if you heard the word cat, and then someone asked you to remove the C, what would you have left? At. This can be difficult with people with dyslexia, given the word in isolation. Like fantastic. Students with dyslexia need to break the word down into parts to read it. Fan-tas-tic. Time spent decoding makes it hard to keep up with peers and gain sufficient comprehension. Spelling words phonetically, like stick for stick or friends for friends, is also common. These difficulties are more widespread and varied than commonly imagined. Dyslexia affects up to 1 in 5 people. It occurs on a continuum. One person might have mild dyslexia, while the next person has a profound case of it. Dyslexia also runs in families. It's common to see one family member who has trouble spelling, while another has severe difficulty decoding even a one-syllable word, like catch. The continuum and distribution of dyslexia suggests a broader principle to bear in mind. As we look at how brains of those with dyslexia process language, neurodiversity is the idea that because all of our brains show differences in structure and function, we shouldn't be quick to label every deviation from the norm and diagnose a disorder, or dismiss people living with these variations as defective. So here's the special way the brains of those with dyslexia work. The brain is divided into 2 hemispheres. The left hemisphere is generally in charge of language and ultimately reading, while the right typically handles activities such as creativity, art, and music. MRI studies have found that the brains of those with dyslexia rely more on the right hemisphere and the frontal lobe than the brains without it. This means when they read a word, it takes a longer trip through the brain and can get delayed in the frontal lobe. Because of this glitch, they read with more difficulty, but those with dyslexia can physically change their brain and improve their reading based on syllable types and spelling rules. Brains of those with dyslexia begin using the left hemisphere more effectively while reading, and their reading improves. Neurodiversity shows dyslexia as a functional variation in the brain, which naturally shows all sorts of variations from one person to another. Neurodiversity emphasizes the spectrum of brain functions in all humans and suggests that to better understand the perspective of those around us, we should try not to see the world through their eyes, but understand it through their brains.